Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi, my wonderful sweet babies. It's Destined Choice, and I wanted to get on here and talk about a very triggering subject. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all saw that title and saw that thumbnail, and y'all already know what time it is. I feel like I gotta get on here and talk about Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union again. Now, 2 years ago, I did a video giving my thoughts and opinions about Gabrielle Union and how I thought about their child, Zaya Wade, now transitioning from being a boy to now being transitioned into a girl. Now, of course, that has created a grave discussion to the point where a lot of people on the internet have pretty much disagreed, created viral TikToks, gave their opinions, said a lot of stuff on Twitter, and even celebrities have spoken out about how disgraceful and distasteful it pretty much is. But overall, I wanted to get on her specifically because Charlamagne the God is recently getting backlash because he decided to get on a Fox News interview and give his opinions on how he thinks it's inappropriate that we can't even have a justified discussion about transgender children transitioning, going through surgery.
I think it's a legitimate debate to be had. And it's the things like that bother me because it's like, yo, we're not even allowing ourselves to have the conversation. Like, you're just putting these labels on people. Like, I'm transphobic because I feel like I'm, just using a little common sense here. To your point, there's just certain things minors cannot do because they're minors. So you don't think something as big as changing your gender shouldn't, wait until you're at least 18? Like, that's just like the fact that people can't even have a conversation about that without labeling somebody transphobic is very, 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 very strange to me.
And of course, Charlamagne the God didn't really say anything wrong, but he did face a lot of backlash because many people felt as though that he should just mind his business and worry about his own children. Now, of course, Tokyo Toni also faced backlash as well because she also got on her YouTube channel because, if y'all didn't know, she's done this before. She gets on YouTube all the time giving her controversial opinions about the Illuminati and thinking that the government is this and that and saying a whole bunch of off-the-wall crazy shit. And overall, YouTube has actually shut down her channel before, and she has a whole new channel and she's ranting and venting again about what she believes about the world and the transgender agenda and so much more.
Mommy, what are we having for dinner? Ah!
That's a crossbreed ass weird shit. Damn. And these parents let their kids get raised by Google and don't talk to them, don't tell them nothing. And they just wing it and think that's the right shit. Your fucking son or daughter is a transgender bitch. You ain't teach them nothing. You ain't do nothing. They supposed to hide that shit. Bitch, I ain't got no transgender ass. Fuck, I don't want none. Cause I ain't gonna like you. I don't like no transgender. Fuck them motherfuckers. Ugh. Get your fucking ass away from here. Don't like you. I ain't never gonna like you. No, you trying to be me, bitch. And you a fucking nigga with a big ass dick. And need to get punched in your motherfucking face. Fucked up your ass if you go to jail somewhere, bitch. Why would I box a transgender? That's a fucking man. I'm not doing nothing. I'm gonna get a nigga to knock his ass out. If I see a transgender fighting a fucking woman, I'm gonna take a tire iron and bust your motherfucking head open. Cause you a nigga. You was born with a dick. You was born with a voice. You was born to be a fucking leader, black man. Now you got a big ass dick with a skirt on. Cut your dick off. Cut your dick off and you won't be a weirdo. Cut your fucking dick off. Put the lipstick on. Put the wig on. Nobody gonna fuck. Because now you like us, bitch. You're like us. You're not us. You're like us. How can you say I identify as something that you never did, never was? How? Okay, I'm gonna identify as this blunt. I'm gonna go ahead and identify as this blunt. This me. This me. I'm zigzag. So from now on, y'all look at me as a fucking zigzag in this pack. I'm a zigzag. Fuck out of here. See, celebrities don't talk because they're gonna lose everything they have. They signed in blood, all of them. They ain't gonna do this. They can't. If they wanted to. Name one. Gabrielle Union, that weak ass bitch. Put this bitch back in the box and send her back to China. Defected property. And keep her there. We don't need money. You just keep that change. You keep that motherfucker change. She a whole woman. And she's sanctioning a little boy to be a fucking girl. Oh, yeah. Well, if you're gonna cut it off, every bitch gonna be like, okay, this bitch was not playing. This is one motherfucker that gets a pass. Your dick cut off and you're transsexual, transgender, whatever the fuck you are, a transformer, cut that motherfucking dick off, bitch. Put it in a jar. Let me see it in the jar.
Now, first things first, this woman is literally insane, and I think she genuinely has a mental health issue. And plus, this is the same woman who raised Mrs. Black China herself. So we can't really put anything past Tokyo Toni or look at her as some type of like truth speaker or anyone that has really much of anything to say. She raised Black China, and look how Black China turned out. And honestly, I would say that Tokyo Toni is actually transphobic as fuck. But we can't really take her word for it because Tokyo Toni is overall a fucking mess. She has like a dark cloud around her. Like there's something about her that gives crack. But anyways, I wanted to get on her and talk about my personal opinions about what Charlamagne the God had to say. And to a certain extent, see where Tokyo Toni was going with her rant. So, in my personal opinion, do I think it's child abuse for people to allow their child to transition from boys to girls? No. But I do think it's inappropriate for a child to undergo surgery and do hormone blockers. Now, transitioning doesn't have to be pills and surgery. Transitioning could be you asking your relatives to see you as a woman and you saying straight up, hey, my name is Choicette. So since I'm Choicette, I would love for you guys to refer to me as Choicette as well. You know, that's what I see myself as. I'm now a woman, and I now want you guys to see me as a woman because I am a woman now. At that point, that's what I would consider transitioning. You're socially transitioning and you want the world to see you a certain way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But in my personal opinion, when we talk about surgery, I do have to say that over time, my opinion has kind of evolved only because I constantly see a lot of videos of a lot of transgender people changing their mind and then regretting going through surgery and hormone blockers and much more. Now, the thing about a lot of trans people, a lot of them have a serious mental illness and mental health issues. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they exist in a world that they don't feel comfortable in. Now, a lot of trans people deal with gender dysphoria. A lot of trans people deal with PTSD, anxiety, and so much more. A heap of other things that are oftentimes common. And oftentimes, we encourage a lot of trans people to exist as the identity that they see themselves as rather than undergo therapy. Now, what people don't realize is when you undergo hormone therapy and you undergo transitioning, you usually do undergo therapy to help yourself be more comfortable with your transition and much more. And that's what people don't realize about transitioning. However, with the whole transgender situation, I have to say genuinely, a lot of people will never be on the same page with the trans issue, and that is perfectly fine. So the reason why my opinion has evolved over time is because I started watching this YouTuber by the name of Tyler Vine. I've been watching this YouTuber probably for damn near a decade, and long story short, this YouTuber was one of the first people that I saw on YouTube come out as transgender. And this YouTuber has pretty much been doing YouTube for a decade, and they started YouTube when they were like 16, 17 years old. And now this YouTuber is damn near 28, damn near 30 at this point. And after 10 years of undergoing hormone surgery and even going to a point where this individual went through bottom surgery, this individual now says they regret transitioning into a boy.
I'm mourning an entire life that should have been mine. That was my birthright. I don't know how this happened to me. And I'm just so angry. I'm so sad. Like, I just don't know how this happened. Like a virus or something, it just like infected me and it happened so quickly. And it was like, I was right there, like agreeing to every single thing. And I don't know how that happened. Then now I can sit here and like look back and be like, why did I do that? It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. If I just would have waited. If I just would have waited. If I just would have waited and let myself heal. I can't have kids. I'll never lose my virginity. Like, I feel like I'm left to just like accept the scraps of the life that I could have had. I had this full life that I'm now having to mourn while also living in the present moment with the life that like feels just like the scraps of what could have been. I don't know how to be happy in that. You know, I don't know how to be okay with that. I hate when people are like, everything happens for a reason. Like, no, this didn't happen for a reason. You know, it's just a tragedy. Just call it what it is. I don't want to use the word indoctrinated, but I was young and I was sad and I was impressionable and I thought that this would fix everything. And transitioned, lived as trans for 8 years, had top surgery, a full hysterectomy, bottom surgery, went all the way as far as one could go, and then woke up and realized that I made the biggest fucking mistake of my life. I was so sure. You know, it's just crazy.
Now, of course, that video went viral and it has since been deleted, but I feel like I had to really bring it up because this particular YouTuber that I watched that goes by, I don't know, like 50 different names at this point, basically underwent a lot of surgery. They didn't just do hormone blockers and take pills and change their voice. This particular YouTuber actually went through bottom surgery. So initially, this YouTuber was born a woman, and then when she was a teenager, she basically got a dick. So she basically had what, if you guys didn't know, is called a phalloplasty. Now, a phalloplasty is what a lot of times surgeons use for a lot of transgender men. So if you're a woman transitioning to be a man, most cases, doctors will oftentimes tear pieces of your skin and try to mold a penis. So basically, if you're a woman transitioning to be a man, they will rip pieces of your skin. As you can see, he has, or she has, pieces of her skin removed from her arm. And the pieces of her skin were removed from her arm in order to form a penis because the skin on your arm, the thinner layers, are very similar to the skin that's oftentimes found on a penis. And he endured this surgery at a very, very young age to the point where he was able to have a penis and he was able to, function with it, have intimacy with it, get aroused with it, masturbate with it, and much more. So the skin was removed from his arm, and in most cases, most trans people oftentimes choose their thigh. So you could choose your arm or your thigh, and this procedure is damn near over $15,000. It's very expensive, and he raised tons of money on the internet and on his own personal needs to fund these surgeries. And it's really unfortunate to hear him circle back and say that he really does regret going through all this stuff, and now he wants to detransition and now be referred to as a woman. And the opposite of that is a vaginoplasty, which basically, if you're a, man transitioning to be a woman, you can now have a vaginoplasty, which has been around for decades, where basically they remove your dingling and they turn it inside out, they remove it, and they basically turn it into a clitoris. And yeah, so I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want this video to get taken down, but yeah, these are surgical procedures that are often done. And oftentimes, these can be done for a lot of people at a very young age. So I'm not saying this is the situation with Zaya Wade or Dwayne Wade and all these other people, but I'm saying this was the situation for this particular YouTuber that I watched when he was like 15, 16 years old. Which I thought was the craziest shit in the world because this video actually went viral and it has since been removed by this creator that I used to watch. But overall, this creator said that she regrets undergoing surgery and she now wants to be referred to as a woman. So now she's wanting to be seen as a woman and she already did all the surgery and everything. And now she's saying in this video that she'd rather wait. So that's kind of why my opinion has kind of shifted and why, it's difficult for me not to see where people are coming from when they say that this can just be a phase. Because Zaya Wade, in my personal opinion, should not be blasted to the forefront like this. Zaya Wade is not a celebrity. Zaya Wade is literally a child of a celebrity. She's a child of two celebrities. Gabrielle Union is not Zaya's biological mother, but Zaya Wade has pretty much been taken in by Gabrielle Union. So Gabrielle Union is basically Zaya's mother. I feel as though that at the end of the day, let this child just be a child. Why does this child have to constantly do interviews? Why the fuck is people like Michelle Obama honoring Zaya Wade as Woman of the Month, Woman of the Year?
Being my full, authentic self feels like freedom. Being out and open and truthful about who I am to myself and others is just freeing. It's a beautiful feeling to have and hold and to be able to share with the rest of the world. Transphobia still exists and is widely common. There are genuinely people out there who think that you're a kid, this is a phase, or you don't actually know what you're talking about. I know that I'm trans. I didn't say one day, I just want to try out being trans. No, so just suck it up. We are who we are. Being trans is one of the most important parts of me, and so to be an inspiration to everyone out there is always my hope. But I also hope that I just finish high school, go to college, get my degree, and also live a life outside of Zaya Wade, the trans person, and be Zaya. Just Zaya.
I feel like a lot of this is being done because I do feel as though that Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade are somewhat, in a certain sense, doing this for media attention, for PR. And I have to say this because at first I was like, nah, like they're publicly supporting their child. It is what it is. But as time has gone on, I noticed that every time they do press runs or they do an interview, it's always about them mentioning their child. They mention their child every single chance they get.
I don't care about anything else. I'm looking at my child, and I'm looking at my responsibilities. I'm looking at a child that's crying, that's afraid to tell their father, you know what I mean? And right now, we experiencing that with Zaya, my 13-year-old, who last year we came out and we spoke to the world that, hey, my 13-year-old came home and said, Dad, this is who I am. I am a transgender child. And we didn't come out until she was 12 to the world. But the reason we came out to the world was because I got tired of trying to hide my child. Right. Taking photos with the rest of my family, not posting Zaya, because we posted one thing on her birthday and there was so many bad comments that we wanted to hide her from it. Right. But it came to a point where I said, am I hiding her from it? Or am I hiding myself from it?
But why don't y'all mention y'all other child? Dwayne Wade's eldest son is a ball player. You know, he could be drafted in the next 10 years and we don't even talk about him very much. I just, at this point, think that Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade do have some type of ill intention. And initially, I kind of saw it as, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, this was just them trying to support their child publicly. But then now I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm starting to think, okay, I feel like y'all are kind of doing this on purpose. So this started a lot of controversy even more, and this is what's caused Tokyo Tony and Charlamagne to go on their rants and a whole bunch of other people in general to speak on this. Because if you guys didn't know, Siobhan, who is also known as Dwayne Wade's ex-wife, has pretty much been going to the media, doing multiple interviews and much more, trying her best to condemn Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union publicly. If you guys didn't know anything about her and Dwayne Wade's relationship, Siobhan actually used to be with Dwayne Wade before he was popping, before he was famous, before he had anything going on. Siobhan was literally by Dwayne Wade's side. Dwayne Wade had a very rough upbringing. His family wasn't the best. His family wasn't the best upbringing. He grew up in a pretty rough area. But then eventually Dwayne Wade got to a point where he started elevating his basketball career. And in order to eat and survive, he was living with Siobhan and Siobhan's parents and Siobhan's family. They basically took Dwayne Wade in as his own. And then when he got to a point where he got famous, they basically said that he pretty much dipped on them and started being unfaithful to Siobhan. Now, Siobhan has said a lot of things about Dwayne Wade being abusive, physically abusive, you know, torturing her, mistreating her, you know, using money against her and much more. But of course, Dwayne Wade has never really owned up to these things or even gave a rebuttal of anything. He's pretty much just always ignored her for as long as she's been speaking to the media. Now, I believe to a certain extent there is some bitterness to her, but I also feel like there might be some truth to what she has to say. But I do find it kind of odd how she's went out of her way countless times to speak about Dwayne Wade and the entire family in general, saying that they're bad people, they're not the best, and that she doesn't want her children being polluted. But according to Dwayne Wade, she hasn't even gone out of her way to try to come through to birthday parties, come to events, and come and much more. Now, considering Zaya is only 14 years old, Siobhan Funches, Dwayne Wade's ex-wife, has pretty much done everything she can to constantly go to the media and basically go on a smear campaign talking about how she pretty much denounces and doesn't agree with her child transitioning. Now, according to page 6, Funches claimed that during an April 2022 meeting with Dwayne Wade in Atlanta, she claimed that Dwayne Wade told her that due to Zaya Wade's endorsement deals and interviews and conferences and so much more, Zaya Wade has accumulated, quote-unquote, a lot of money, and a lot of money had already been made in relation to Zaya's name and gender issue. Now, Funches is pretty much against that, and she claims, I have concerns that Dwayne Wade may be pressuring our child to move forward with the name and gender change in order to capitalize on the financial opportunities that he has received from companies. Now, she claimed that Dwayne Wade told her that there might be talks with Disney Channel, and there is a lot of endorsement deals with companies such as Dove and many more companies that are basically trying to give Zaya and Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade a check for supporting their child and much more. And I do see where people are coming from when they say that Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are trying to benefit financially. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying their child isn't trans, and I'm not saying their child is confused, and I'm definitely not going to be on that whole transphobia shit, but I would definitely sit up here and say that they definitely do have a lot of underlying intentions that seem like they definitely just want to capitalize as much as they can and get as much money as they can. Because again, this is just a child, and I think the child should just live a regular life. This child lived a regular life before the public even knew that she identified as being trans. So let this child live a regular life. Why is the child always blasting the forefront? And why is the child always the topic of discussion in all their interviews? It becomes very tedious, and it really makes me question their underlying intentions. It seems like to me, they mentally think to themselves, yeah, this is our child, we love our child, but we also should make a bag too, in my personal opinion. And every time his ex-wife does this, he pretty much calls her an opportunist. He even called out on Instagram recently, claiming that she's just doing this for attention and to pretty much clothe her bitterness. But if I'm being honest with you, he has a point because Siobhan isn't completely innocent. Siobhan has misdemeanor charges. She even has situations where she's attempted to abduct her children, even though Dwayne Wade got full custody back in 2011. You know, she's not completely innocent at all. And she's also been known to be verbally abusive to her children. So I do feel as though that to a certain extent, she may care. But I also feel as though that I can't really feel any sympathy for the ex-wife because, you know, she pushed her own children away. You know, she didn't fight hard enough to maintain custody. But now she apparently wants custody now. All I'm saying is I think this child is definitely going to be at a point where something's always going to be missing and this child's going to go through a lot of phases. I'm not saying the child isn't trans. I'm not saying the child isn't LGBT. All I'm saying is this really should just stay in the fucking group chat and not be public. On top of that, did y'all know that recently Zaya Wade announced that she was in a relationship? Like recently, the Wade family allowed Zaya Wade to post who she was dating, and Zaya Wade is in a relationship with a boy. And Zaya Wade is posting this person on social media, and the media's going around going crazy because Zaya Wade has a boyfriend. And immediately I'm thinking to myself, why is this posted on the internet? Why is this being shared? Why is D Wade and Gabrielle Union constantly allowing this child to share all this shit? You know, some things really should just be privated and not shared publicly. I get supporting your child publicly, but really, like your 14-year-old trans child is over here posting their significant other, and I do think that at the end of the day, parents should support their children no matter what and love them unconditionally, but too much is being shared that I'm starting to question the intentions or if they are starting to lose trace of why they're even really doing this. For some reason, people will still try to take this, flip it, and still be like, oh, well, that's transphobic, or, well, you can't say that, that's transphobic, or that's offensive to us trans people, that's this, that's that, or, well, you're not trans, so you'll never understand. Or, well, it's just like with black people. What about Jim Crow? Because I oftentimes get that argument as well. When I did try to make these videos talking about the whole trans situation and trans issues, automatically people try to start like a little cancel party. People try to like put transphobic next to my name and tweet it out and be like, Choice TV is transphobic, Destined Choice is transphobic. And people started making TikToks and shit, making videos, making tweets and much more. And many people started sending these things to me. But in general, I feel like we gotta have these serious discussions because again, we never talk about the people who regret transitioning. So I feel like if people are gonna transition, their children, let their children transition, I think they should do it at an appropriate age. If it's surgically, I think they should just wait till they're grown as fuck. But if it's socially, I'm perfectly fine with parents referring to their daughters as he or their sons as she. But most times kids kind of have a sense of what their sexuality and gender identity is at a very young age. And I say that because, let's be honest for a second, y'all. How did you know that you were straight? How did you know that you were gay? How did you know that you were bi? Most of y'all had a sense of what your sexuality and gender identity was when you were at least, honestly, 12 years old. Like by the time you got into middle school, people started talking about sex, sexuality. Like a lot of us don't even realize how a lot of these things were exposed to us and how we know these things at an early age. A lot of us never realized that, you know, we had boyfriends and girlfriends in the fucking 4th and 5th grade. Like we just know these things at a young age. And it's different if the child says, oh, well, I want to be a chicken nugget. I want to be a firefighter. Gender identity is something that's sacred and something that's on the inside and something that you see yourself and perceive yourself as. So I respect parents who are able to just call their child as their gender identity. It does create a lot of conflict because in general, every time you try to have these conversations, people all of a sudden get triggered and assume, oh my God, you're part of the problem, you're transphobic, just shut the fuck up and have an opinion. So it's almost like you can't even have an opinion at all. You know, it's almost like, oh, you can't even open your mouth to say anything at all because, you know, you don't understand. When in reality, we should have these important discussions because these important discussions create empathy. And with empathy, we can all create understanding. And with understanding, we can all see where each other's coming from and agree to disagree. You know, the sports thing is one thing. Like, the whole sports thing is obvious. If you're a fucking transgender and you want to play boxing, or you're a transgender and you want to, like, be on the women's swim team, bitch, you better go play with the males because you were born biologically a male. So that's how I see it. But anyway, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys thought about my rant and my opinion. And yeah, that's that. People still gonna find something wrong with this video anyways. I said what the fuck I said. I hope everyone kind of see where I'm coming from and understand my point of view when it comes to the discussion. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe like I just said. Join my Patreon if you're interested. And yeah, that's that. Enjoy the music. Choice out this bitch. She's got a girl and she's on fire. With the world magazine. Oh, she's got a oh, this girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. 'This girl is 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 on fire. 'This girl is